Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hi, this is Tanvi.
Hello, this is Anupam Dash.
Hi, this is Ritika Dasgupta.
Hi, this is Purva Chaudhary.
Hi, this is Tirtho.
Hi, this is Paulami Shaha.
Hi, this is Aritra Lahiri.
Hi, this is Rajoshi Trivedi.
Good afternoon everyone. Today's topic is training budget. Actually, it is about the allocation of budget towards training and development in an organization. The organization that we have been taking as an example is Bajaj Allianz, which is basically a large insurance company with its footprints all over India and maybe abroad. Yeah, they're abroad also. So there is a good estimate of how many employees are there in head office and all that. So now what they are trying to do is they are trying to venture out to parts of Europe, Germany and Italy, and they are now setting up the training budget for the same purpose. So according to me, training budget is a mandatory thing and a primary thing to do when people are trying to venture out in certain sections of the society. So I would open it to all participate.
So as it's mentioned in this case, we can see that for Bajaj Allianz, in the offices, basically computers have been recently, the computer network has been recently introduced in the office, and every employee has a PC on their desk. So a lot of the processes which are happening in this particular Bajaj Allianz is computerized now. So I think the people they're not used to using computers before this. So right now training first and foremost should be provided for for the people to become comfortable working with the computers, so that they can do everything online or digital manner. So that is first and foremost of importance.
We also know that European countries are really not more acquainted with English as a language, and they believe in having their own local languages as their first languages. So if we are trying to expand our business in the European markets, it's necessary that we also invest some money on letting our employees know more about their language, like for example German and Italian here. So that can be also one of the solutions.
And because we're looking at different markets here, also we have to look at new sales techniques so that we gather the market, we get more market share. So that is also important.
So all these techniques could be digitized, isn't it? Right from language skills to handling of computers. Nowadays we don't have face-to-face trainings as much per se as previously. So these could be included as modules within their very office section, be a part of their regular activities or day work, isn't it?
Right.
Yes,
We can have certifications for the different people on client interfacing of your relationships.
Exactly.
I think those are going to be very useful.
Exactly, I would take it from Rajesh that in this era of digitalization, so it will be easier if we can invest more on digital trainings. For example, training on Go, like Infosys has started recently Lex. Lex is an Android app which promotes learning on the go. It's Let's Learn. Let's Learn is Lex.
When a company is going to spread its business throughout the globe and trying to take a venture in different countries in a larger area, then I think the company, the base of the company, obviously the profit, that depends on the person, the employee the company has. So I think the personal management should take a basic role here, and we should allocate some more budget on the personal management.
Okay, so currently we saw that whether or not, basically answered the question whether or not the training and development should be continued for the next year.
Yes.
So let us come to the first question, whether or not the budget that was allocated was actually properly allocated and spent the last year. If we see the number of participants in computers handling policies and claims, those things, there are 45 participants and only 19% of the budget was spent on it. And if you compare it to the languages thing, 22 participants were there and 17% of the entire budget was spent. So I think there is a mismatch in the kind of priorities that should be allocated to the different, I would say, the
Exactly, as my friend Ritika just mentioned, that since they are newly exposed to this digital world of computers, and also I think more budget should be allocated to training of computers and handling policies and claims.
But the
Also taking
computer,
from-
they'd be learning like the softwares that they will be using on computers are going to be very easy. That is not something wherein more budget is to be allocated. But learning a language will take more efforts, will take a larger amount of budget. So maybe that is the reason that 17% is allocated to it. We cannot really compare it with why 19% was put for
Yeah,
computers
exactly,
and
because
17%.
However, I would
Can
like
I
to
just-
point something here, like because they were recently introduced to it, I think that there was
Yeah.
some. If it was like something like there was continuing on that, if it was status quo before as well, I think your point would have been valid.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
maybe for the next year, this
Computers
would
were-
have been a much better fit.
Computers were introduced to them for the first time, not that they had been using computers, and this was a new software that was launched in. So about 200 people who manage claims and the personal department, the finance department. So amongst the 200 people, only 45 people were trained, and 19% of the budget was used in the computer training. So since this is mainly a financial firm and handling policies and claims are their major department, more personal management and the number of participants in training of computers should be increased. And I think the share of budget should be put to maximum in terms of computer training, since this has been newly launched.
But don't
And
we
as
think
training and
Polme
languages.
was pointing out, because it is a financial firm, don't you think like more budget should be put on to financial management and accounting? Why is it that
See,
it
from,
comes up?
from actually from this fact sheet, what should be eliminated is the aesthetics part of it, because there's just one participant for that particular section,
And we are
and
spending
2% of the
2%.
budget has been spent
Yes.
towards aesthetics like flower arranging and stuff. So we should actually eliminate this, and we should include the part of the budget that is being spent over here towards the more important parts like the sales techniques or the computer learning or the languages.
But aesthetics are important in today's
Yes,
world.
absolutely.
We
they are
should probably
Yeah,
outsource
but
it. We
not-
should
yeah.
hire someone else to do it. We do not need to train our own members. for this
Actually, we do not need to train on our own employees for that. So I think we are pretty much done with the first question. So
Right.
let's
Let's
concentrate on the second one.
This,
What training
yeah.
should be done next year? So according to me, here it's mentioned sales techniques. 15% of the budget goes towards that. So when you are venturing out to a new market, altogether a new country, I think this should be increased from the next year.
And
onwards.
also at the same time, the languages here, the last year French, Spanish, Italian, German, only the 4 language as was in the training program. I think the to venture out in more European countries and other American countries, the languages which are in the development and training program, the languages would be increased, and some
I
then
think
some
it should
more
be the opposite. We should
Yeah,
reduce the
yes.
number of languages. From 4, we should make it into 2, which are more
Exactly.
more relevant, yes.
more
German
relevant
and
to the other,
Italian probably.
more
German
prevalent
and-
in the other countries of the.
But
German.
that would
German,
essentially be
Italian.
done via an effective survey and feedback of
Yes,
the first
yes,
year, right?
exactly,
If
Yeah.
you've got to know what happened the preceding year, based on the data and results, you can
Definitely.
invest your budget in the next year.
Yes,
we
we
can
can
we
specialize
can't
our program
assume
in that.
beforehand where the more budget needs to be put in. So that essentially would depend on feedback.
And I
That's
think
my
the physical development, only the two participants are there, because only the tennis lessons are there. In the physical development session, we can include apart from tennis more other games, and I think the number of participants can go up, because people usually don't like tennis. That may not possible.
Okay, so adding to this, I would just like to mention one point: this handling policies and claims. This is actually a very vital training that is required for a financial sector.
Yes.
And I can relate to my experience for the last 4 years in the software industry, that if the project is of a banking client or that of an insurance client, we used to have a lot of trainings to take place for the vendors also, like for the software industry itself, the people working in the software industry. So I don't think that should be reduced next year. So that's
And
my point.
since the company is also trying to venture out into several other European countries and sign similar agreements, I think recruitment should be more focus should be made on personal management, that is pay and recruitment, since they would be needing more employees to work for the new ventures in the European sector. So I think the budget could be increased from 6% there. cutting off the aesthetics or physical development.
Even for this part where the using the email, there are only 20 participants and 9% of the budget is used for that. I don't think such a huge amount of the budget is required to train them how to write emails.
But client handling and communication is very
Communication
essential.
is there, it's already there in
email is a
telephone
part
manners.
of communication, written communication.
Yes, I
and
know, but I think if you there is already a part being spent on telephone manners, and when you do
That is
spend
verbal
that,
communication.
absolutely, when you do that, but then a certain amount you get to know a certain amount about how to address the clients as well. So using email, 9% should not be used. We can
Yes,
reduce it.
maybe we can
Yeah,
reduce
reduce
it,
it too.
and
Yeah.
it should be there in the first year. Maybe from the next year onwards,
exactly.
we may reduce that and concentrate more on the new employees who are joining the organization.
Yes.
This
That
is
also
important
holds
to
for
know.
telephone manners, I guess. That also is.
Yes, these are the
Yeah.
basic trainings that are required
For
for
the
telephone
first year,
manners.
it's
We see
fine.
that a
The
lot of
first year
people
is
are
fine.
actually interested in those as well. 15, 20 out of a workforce of 100 is a pretty huge number. In case we can make them available and put it on a need basis.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
For the
Let's-
long
next
run,
year
for
we
the
will
long
like
run profit
reduce
of an
it.
organization, the sales technique, sales technique, there are 25 participants, so it is 15% or 1 or 2% budget we can also increase in that sector. But that obviously Rajat said that we have to then depend on the survey of the last year.
While we are in agreement that the restructuring of the different categories of training and development is required, I do not think we should actually increase the total budget that is already there, because it is currently already a very
Yes.
generous
Yes.
measure.
Yes.
So while we can cut out 2 or 3 different categories here, maybe like physical development or aesthetics, maybe we can repurpose those into different
Yes. So maybe
which
we
are
could
more
make,
required.
those should be made voluntary instead, like
Exactly.
Yes.
if
should
they
be on a
want
need
it, they can do
basis.
it.
Yeah, on a need
It shouldn't be
basis.
compulsory.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay, so probably we can get on to the third question, which is already pretty much answered. If any new courses should be added or modified in the list, like I told, that sales techniques is there, and maybe some amount of marketing should also be included, because they are venturing out to a new market, and they should be aware about the new market while penetrating into that. So the fourth question is, how many people in each department would benefit from each training course? That pretty much evident from the figures, facts and figures we have. So probably we can conclude, as we have a common consensus, that the company is handling pretty much well, that just that it has to reduce and change in some areas of training. Basically handling policies and claims, since it's a financial sector, should be taken care of. Then public relations, maintaining, like Rajoshi said, it's very important to handle clients and all. Using email can be reduced. Personal management, pay structure, recruitment and all that should be increased with time. And aesthetics, we should get rid of that also. We don't need our own employees to venture out in that. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ankur Agrawal and I'm part of the Observers group. First of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone for giving such a fantastic performance. The case was quite a rough one and you delivered a fantastic performance. Few highlights I'd like to tell. First of all, I'd like to point Ms. Purva. She highlighted an important point regarding the trainings part. As soon as I read the case study, I noted a point, and immediately in the first 5 minutes that point was discussed. Second of all, I'd like to call upon Mr. Rajashri. He had some valid points in almost every questions. Mr. Teetha Nandi was the first one who actually put down the stats part, and after that only the stats parts were discussed, and that was a brilliant strategy from the Teetha's part. Thanvi is a very soft skills spoken person. It's just that you should participate a little more. You have a very good points, and your soft skills are very good, but you should just participate a little more, and that's all. I'd like to highlight Mr. Arithro Lahiri for highlighting every question which was discussed, and then pointing out that we should move to the next question. And everyone's performance is appreciated, and you delivered an excellent performance. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to congratulate to all of you. That was very nice discussion, and that was briefly explained things like which kind of department should be, which kind of valuation should be given there, and everybody was able to put their points. And but the only thing which I feel that everybody should be given a fair chance so that he can speak a little bit up. So this is the only thing which I wanted to include in the group discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kaustav. We had a very good fishbowl discussion. I was in the bowl section of it, so I saw the entire group discussing the financial aspects of the Bajaj Alliance, how it should be allocated to each and every training session. So it was a well-known discussion. We had different points taken up on the table and everyone discussed those. I'll be giving some individual feedback that I noted down while the discussion was going on. I'll start with Rajashri, who maintained a very active listening skills, and he also put forward very relevant comments on it. And he also put up the fact of digitalization of the listening of the of different training modules. That was very well done because it is the new age today. Next, I'll move on to Kirto, who started with the statistics and facts, which was not done previously. And he moved on to the need-based requirement, which was a very good point about how the module should be needed and what's to be done. Then I'll move to Paulumi, who focused more on the personal management management aspect to be increased. So she put forward those points, and I also found her to be very good at listening and putting forward different ideas. And next to Ritika, she harped on the telephonic manners and emails, how this should be increased or decreased, and how that should be done. So she harped on those points. And to Tanvi spoke less, yes, obviously, but still she could have got more area to speak on. She spoke only on the financial issues and didn't get much point to speak on, but should have been a better chance to give to her. To Auditro, acted as a natural facilitator, though he was not elected, but still he acted that. He drove all the questions. He moved from different questions to questions. He touched on all the questions, and then he also harped on the claim and policy question, which was very needed because this is a financial company, and so he harped on those important points. For Anupam and Tanvi spoke less, but Anupam spoke a bit more than her, but still Anupam also harped on the expansion of the physical and development expansion, because that was a very less, that point was not touched on. He touched on those points of expanding the physical development and skills. So I covered pretty much all of it. Purva is left. And I found Purva to be supporting with good evidences. He put forth her ideas very much well. That's all. And we also reached a very good conclusion about how policies, how the budget of policy should be increased and activities to be decreased, public relations to be increased, sales to be increased. So those were very good points. I noted down some of the areas of improvement. Like as I told, that facilitator was not elected at the first point. That could be done. That facilitator should be elected at the first point, who will be moving the entire discussion. One more point is that I thought that it could be included is the discussion of nature analytics and predictive tools which could have been used in understanding which training modules could have been done. That point was not raised. I believe that it could have been tabled also. That's all pretty much from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop.
Hi, I am Anurika Roy. I am part of the observer group of this group discussion. The group discussion was very nice. I have just used the sample group fishbowl discussion evaluation form, and I have just ticked the positive and negative criteria I have seen. So first, Rajarshi, starting with Rajarshi, takes a position on an issue +2, provides a relevant comment +1, supports position with evidence +2, and demonstrating active listening +2. So total 7, no negative points. Auditro, the same points, so 7. Ptolemy takes a position on an issue, provides a relevant comment, and demonstrating active listening, so it's 5. Tirtha, same with Auditro and Rajarshi, so it's 7. Purva, same with Ptolemy, 5. Ritika, same with Ptolemy, 5. Anupam, same 5. And Tanvi, with a new parameter, asked a clarifying question, so +1, so you have 6. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anurika.
I am Varsha Vijay. I'll be giving the general feedback on the discussion that we saw right now. We saw a very well coordinated group discussion with excellent speakers on the floor. Special mention to Aditra Lahiri for acting as a facilitator. He began the GD well, introduced and explained the case to all of us, gave the concluding comments. What he could have done as a facilitator was that he could have also made way for the speakers who weren't able to put forth their ideas. The GD began with Ritika and Purva giving their views, and in a very lucid manner. The other speakers also spoke well and followed suit. Special mention to Tirthanandi for highlighting the budget aspect of the case, which was the most important one. And then what I actually liked about the discussion was that every aspect of the budget was discussed, which are how much should be allocated to each of the courses. Questions were raised on why some courses should be given more importance than the others, and they were well answered by the others. So yeah, that's pretty much from my side. Thank you. We all had a very good discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha.